Folks, good afternoon. Thanks for joining me here on Wave Now. I'm Myra Ansari. We're going live to a press conference about IU football. Let's jump in and listen.
That was a TV station, I think.
For us, the earlier in the week, it's a lot of mental gymnastics, kind of getting things figured out and sorted out with adjustments and, how are you going to handle different things from different offenses. But, yeah, like you said, these offenses aren't very similar. We've seen Oregon once, but, they've improved drastically. Their O-line is playing at a high-level, quarterback, receivers, tight ends, running backs. Everybody's playing really well right now. So we definitely have a challenge on our hands. But, like you said, when you have Coach Haynes who's manipulating things so much, we're changing a defense, week in and week out. It's a lot of mental stuff early in the week. But by the end of the week, we all feel, calm and confident with it. And he does a great job teaching. And I think all of our coaches do a great job teaching it instead of just, coaching it. This is how you're going to do it, one way. It's why are we doing it? How are we going to do it? And what are the multiple ways that you can get to your ultimate job description? I think that's what kind of makes it a little bit easier when we're doing so much mental stuff.
We'll go Mike and then Zach.
Which Mike?
Mike Niziolek.
I think I'm just making sure. Aiden, you guys have played obviously some rosters with a lot of high-level talent. Ohio State, Alabama, Oregon's one of them. What separates Oregon from those other two? What do they do well? What's their strengths versus kind of Ohio State and Alabama?
Yeah, Oregon's an explosive offense, one that'll hurt you quick if you're not, on your P's and Q's. Obviously it starts with the quarterback who's, one of the best in the country. Great player, smart, makes his reads quick. Gets the ball out quick. He just does a great job. I mean, every facet of, being a quarterback in that system. O-line, big, they're strong, they're physical. They move well, especially in space. Their O-line's great. Obviously the tight ends and receivers, running backs too. They have guys that are going to play on Sundays in every spot. So, it's a big challenge for us. They're really good when they get vertical. They're really good in the run game. Quick game, the quarterback does a great job with his eyes, reading coverages. And the running backs run hard. They're not easy to bring down with one guy. So we definitely have our work cut out for us. But, it's something that I think is more about us and making sure we're doing the things that make us a special team in a defense than it is about, being worried about the other team. They're a great team, but I think if we're on, high alert for all of these things, we'll be better prepared and better going into it Friday.
All right, we'll go Zach O and then Adam.
Aiden, I was asking about Daniel Ndukwe, and you've, I imagine, been at some point in Coach Haynes' defense in the position he is where Coach Haynes kind of turns to you and says, we need you, this is your opportunity, we need you to step up. How have you seen him sort of embrace that experience? I know he's been in the program a couple of years. It's not like he's brand new to all this, but how have you seen him these last couple of games you've been preparing for really sort of embrace the idea of, hey, I know it's my time now, my team needs me, and maybe I'm going to add a little bit extra, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, when your opportunity arises, you got to take advantage of it, and I think he's doing a great job. You could tell his maturity from last year to this year has really changed. He's not just a guy that's going to be there in case we need him. He was a guy that was going to get valuable snaps this year. Obviously now it's going to be more than ever. And he's done a great job. Physically he's cut out for the spot. There's no question about it. That spot has a lot of things that you have to think about in the mental games of it, but he's done a great job. For us as linebackers, we have to do a great job communicating with him, knowing he's a little bit of a younger guy, but I mean, he's got this defense down, to a T, and he's been doing a great job. He does everything we ask of him. He does that at a high level. So his opportunity arose. He took advantage of it last week. We just need him to keep doing that, but he's doing a great job. We have all the confidence in the world in him. We're happy with having him in that spot. I think he's done a great job, and we're confident in him.
We'll go to Adam Rittenberg and then Zach B.
Yeah, Aiden, thanks for your time. I'm just curious, the other teams in the playoff obviously have lost games, and they're kind of drawing on those experiences as they prepare, including Oregon. You've already had a team that's avenged a loss earlier in Ole Miss. As a team that obviously hasn't lost any games, what do you guys draw upon to sort of motivate you? Or, hey, if we do this, we might lose a game. We got to be better this time around, even though you haven't actually lost a game as a team.
Yeah, I mean, we have the same motivation as they do. We didn't play a clean game. We didn't play our best game. So all the mindset stuff that they have, we have the same thing. We didn't play a clean game. We left a lot of plays out there. And we felt like we just didn't play at a high level for that game. So as much as, the mental games that it can play on, either team, we have just as much motivation, if not more, to, really prove ourselves again. Like, we have so much more to prove, to play a cleaner football game, and to really, prove ourselves. We do that week in and week out. We have an opportunity to go out there and prove ourselves. We got to take advantage of it. And I think, we have a great opportunity this week. And, we just have to, clean up a lot of things from week 1 to week 14, take those, learn from them, and, move forward. But, we're excited for it. And, we have a lot to prove this weekend.
Aiden,
Right.
when you prep, am I good, Greg?
Yeah, go ahead, Zach. Then we'll go to Daniel.
When you prep, Aiden, and scout for a team a second go around in the same season, what does that prep look like? How does it differentiate, and how much stock do you put into the first meeting between you two?
To me, this is a whole new team. I think both sides are a whole new team. They've improved drastically. Their O-line, especially in their quarterback, are playing at an extremely high level. They've had new guys emerge at receiver spots, and everybody's playing at a high level. So for me, I'm scouting a whole new team. Schematically, yeah, there are some things that will carry over a little bit. But for me, I have to treat it like a whole new game, a whole new team. Because, we're in a different spot than we were. We were playing them in, I think it was week 6 or week 5. So to me, it's, two teams seeing each other for the first time in my mind. You treat it like that. You prepare for it like that. And none of it's going to be, I can use my old preparation for this one. That'll get you hurt. And, they'll scheme things up where you can't do that. So for me, it's a whole new team. My preparation's all new. And I think I can speak for a lot of guys with that, our coaches too. We're treating it like, it's the biggest game of the year because it's the next one, and you got to prepare for it like that.
Right, we'll go to Daniel and then Mike S.
Yeah, and the win in Austin, after that win, was there kind of like a sense you felt that maybe the viewpoint around you guys had changed? Like, okay, like this is a legit team?
I think maybe for people outside of this facility, nobody in here was, taken off guard or shocked by it. Each week it's, just another opportunity to go out there and prove that we belong. And I think that was, obviously at that point in our season, it was the biggest opportunity to have. And I think we took advantage of it, but, I don't really want to pay any mind to that game. It's all focused on this one. And, we have to go out there and prove it again. So as much as, our fans and, the atmosphere around Indiana has loved that experience to go out there and do that, it doesn't mean anything to us now. This is way more important. And, again, we have to be focused on 100%.
All right, last one for Aiden. We'll go to Mike S.
Sorry, Aiden. I had another question about that last game. I know you just said you didn't want to talk about it, but it was more like, at some point during the season, Coach Sig said, the games last year, Ohio State, Notre Dame, maybe the moments were too big. I was just curious, like, when you guys did go out there and win, was there any effect on the psyche of the team? Like, hey man, if we're prepared, if we execute, we now know the moment will never be too big. If we do our job, we can beat anybody.
Yeah, I think 2 things for that. I remember going into that game, Coach Sig said we needed more dogs on our team. Compared to last year, just going into those big games. And I think we got them now. So that's not going to be the problem. And then for us, I don't want to say it was ever thinking is a moment too big for us. I think Coach Sig said it great. People say that because our logo is an I and a U, and it's Indiana. But that's just not how we think. I know for me personally, when we go into a game with the preparation that we have, the players we have, and the confidence we have in ourselves, no matter when and what's happening in the game, we're going to find a way to overcome it. We're going to find a way to win the game, and it's just about you keep chipping away, and at some point it'll break. You kind of break free as a team, but I think us this year, there's been no underdog mentality. I know people have referenced the misfits. I think when you look at where people come from, yes, but as a team, we don't feel like that. We're right where we belong. And I don't think anybody's going into any game with underdog or even a slight chance of doubt with any game. It's full preparation, full confidence going into each game and, kind of hitting the ground running.
Great. Thanks, Aiden.
Cool.
We
Thanks,
will have
guys.
Elijah Hardy in the room next. So raise those hands on the Zoom and we will get started here in a second. All right, we have true sophomore linebacker Elijah Hardy. Let's go ahead and start with Adam and then go to Pete.
Hey, Elijah, I appreciate your time. I'm curious what it's like being one of the younger guys contributing on this team. It feels like there's so many fourth and fifth year players that are kind of the faces of Indiana this year. But for you to come in and be doing what you're doing at such a young age, what's that been like? And what does it say just kind of about how Coach Sig and the coaches have sort of evaluated you and brought you in?
Yeah, the coaching staff, they trust me. It started off with last year. It's funny that you say young guy. Coach Haynes always said, you're not a young guy. Like coming in, he always said, I'm one of the older guys. I can be a leader. And it's just been a great time here this year, being able to play as a true sophomore and play with those older guys.
Here, Elijah, every team in America talks about next man up. You guys as a team has done that extraordinarily well. You've had injuries at linebacker, at defensive line, at even kicker. What is it that enables you to do that? Is it the quality of the depth, the coaching? How are you able to do that?
Yeah, it's definitely the coaching. It's the quality of the coaching. These coaches, they put a lot of time to all the players, the installs. Everybody knows what to do. They know everybody else's job. So when it's the next man's up, it's his turn. They know what to do.
All right, we'll go to Sammy Jacobs next, and then Zach B.
Elijah, you guys have done a really good job of limiting the yards after catch with a lot of these explosive receivers. What goes into that in practice, and then in the game, how do you just bring these guys down without them getting these extra yards?
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff in practice. We got a lot of tackle circuits. Coach Haynes always talk about vice tackling, trying to damage ball carriers and just get them on the ground so we could survive the next down.
All right, we'll go to Zach B. and then to Lou.
Elijah, when the national perspective kind of begins to shift like it has on you guys and as a team, how do you continue to maintain the edge and the hunger that's kind of defined this team throughout the entire season?
Yeah, it's always about blocking out the outside noise, preparing like we been doing since the beginning. Just keep playing, preparation. We just try to go 1-0 every week, and that's our goal.
Good afternoon. This is kind of a big picture question. Do you guys ever talk about the fact that right now you're ranked #1 in the country, you're the only undefeated team in the country, and that you're on the verge of playing for a national championship and a chance to do something special and once in a lifetime in the history of Indiana? Does it ever come up between you guys as teammates saying, we are a team of destiny or we could do this?
Well, it's not really about us being a #1 team. We talk about how we got here, and that's preparation, the hard work we put in, and we just try to focus on that, and we go from there.
All right, we'll go to Dan and then to Seth.
Elijah, looking at Bryant Haynes and just what he's meant to you, what he's meant to this defense, knowing that he will be there post this season and locked in with the Hoosiers, just what it's been like to have his leadership and how that's gotten through to you.
Yeah, Coach Haynes is great. He's definitely the best defensive coordinator that I've been a part of, one of the top coordinators in the country, and he's just a great linebacker coach. He's able to help develop us. His game plan, his system is just really great to play for him.
All right, we'll go to Seth and then to Jim.
Yeah, Elijah, Aiden talked about this a little bit, but just people always say, it's hard to beat a team twice in one season. For you, I guess, what is the challenge associated with that? And how do you kind of approach this game, both, in terms of preparation and just mentality? Like, why is it tough to beat a team twice in 1 year?
Yeah, you take that last game and you watch the film, you make adjustments. They got the same film that we got, so we all just try to use that film. They're a better team, we're a better team, and we just go from there. Let the coaches do the game plan how they need to, and we just execute.
All right, Jim, go ahead and wrap us up with Elijah.
Elijah, the defensive line has been kind of the heart of this defense, which has been amazing. And you guys have taken hit after hit. And each week now you're playing a different offense, a different style. You have to make changes. You talk about making adjustments, but you have to make adjustments to whom you're playing. How difficult has it been, but how fun has it been to play against this myriad of different teams, whether it's Ohio State, Alabama, and now Oregon coming up?
Yeah, but it comes down to coaching, having the guys around me knowing what to do, the next man up idea, and we just play off of each other. Our front seven is a good front seven with the stunts and the games we run, and it's really good to play behind a group of guys like that.
Great. Thanks for Elijah. We'll be in shortly with Isaiah Jones. All right, we are joined by Isaiah Jones. We will go ahead and kick things off with Pete and then go to Seth.
Hey, Isaiah. I'm working on a story. IU has had a lot of success with the next man up, that there have been injuries to defensive line, linebacker, wide receiver, running back, even kicker, and it hasn't affected the performance of the team. Why is that? Is it coaching, players? How is that possible?
Yeah, I think that's just the mentality of the team. And, it starts with Coach Sig. There's a standard in every room and as a team. And if one guy goes down, there should be, no let off and no difference in the guy that steps in. And that's what, makes the team special is, I know in the linebacker room or the D-line room and on the defense, entirely, if one guy goes down, it's the next man up. And the standard we have on the defense and on the team is, there should be no let up, and you should be able to, step in and fill that guy's shoes. And be able to, do the same things, make the same plays he is.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go to Seth and then Joe Cronin.
Yeah, Isaiah, people often say that, talk about how hard it is to beat a team twice in 1 year. For you, just why is it so difficult to beat a team twice in 1 year? And when you look at Oregon specifically, what do you see different in them than what you saw, both on tape and, in reality, the last time you guys played each other?
Yeah, the thing is, what makes teams great is, you get better each week. And that's obviously what Oregon's done. That's what we've done. So, for them, they're an entirely new team. They're playing fast. For them, they're using some of their athletes, their tight ends, their running backs. They have a receiver that's really coming on this year right now. And then Dante Moore, he's a great quarterback, great player. So he's playing excellent right now offensively. And so they're starting to, get their athletes and get their playmakers the ball in space. And then, their O-line's, one of the best we played. So they're obviously, doing well, picking up pressures and running the ball. And, the same thing we pride ourselves on. When you can run the ball and then stop the run, you're setting yourself up for success.
We'll go to Joe and then Mike N.
Isaiah, when it comes to playing in a 15th game of the season, what are the challenges of the mental preparation, the physical preparation? Because, have you had this much wear and tear in one season of football before?
No, I don't think anyone at this point really has probably had this much, with the new college football playoffs and all the playoff games. 15 seasons, 15 games. A season is long, but for us, it's a one week mentality. And we know that complacency kills, and so that's something we fight every week. I know every team probably fights that across America, but this deep in the season, when you're so close to something, for us, it's almost like you have a new hunger inside your stomach, and it's a 1 week season and you don't want to go home. Everyone wants to fight tooth and nail for one more game. And so with the veterans on this team, I know it's a reality that if you don't go out there prepared, this could be your last game, forever. And so that lights a fire in our stomach, and that's what keeps us hungry and ready each week.
We'll go Mike in and then Adam Rittenberg.
Yeah, Isaiah, you faced obviously Ohio State, Alabama, Oregon in the regular season, and, very star-laden lineups. And you mentioned kind of the athletes, but what does Oregon maybe do better than those other two teams, or what's their strength kind of compared to them?
Yeah, I think Oregon's O-line is, pretty talented. Just with IDing blitzes, pass protection, and then running the ball. If you can run the ball, that opens up your play actions, that opens up your deep shots. That's when you can get in, your pass sets, and you're working with second and third and, short downs. When you're behind the sticks, it's really hard as an offense, kind of makes you one-dimensional, lets the defense, kind of eat. And so they're really, really good O-line. They really, communicate well and are able to, pick up stunts. And so that's where I feel we'll have a big challenge. And then obviously, just on the perimeter, just being able to, these guys all have athletes, but it's our 11 versus their 11 each week. And so, we're confident and we're excited for it.
We'll go to Adam and then Zach B.
Yeah, Isaiah, I'm just curious, as someone who was at Indiana before Coach Sig got there, what have you learned about how he evaluates players and who he brings into the program? Because he's obviously involved in all of those decisions, GM and coach. What's it been like from your perspective to see?
Yeah, just Coach Sig's, player evaluation is special. Obviously, he doesn't always go after, the big shiny guys, and he just wants guys that he knows can play. And if you can make plays, he wants you. And then the second part of that is, just a human being behind the pads. He's going to bring in guys that, mold well in the locker room, guys that are team players. And that's what's make this team so special is, just the camaraderie, we have in the locker room. That makes you want to play that much harder for those guys, offense or defense. It lets you kind of just, fuel off each other. And, when offense is, kicking butt and running the ball, the defense wants to go out there and get a 3 and out so they can get the ball back and go score. And it's the same way for the offense. And so just having, those types of players, in the locker room it makes a special team.
We'll go Zach B and then Daniel.
Isaiah, when the national perspective kind of shifts like it has done over the last couple of weeks on this team, does that kind of change the chip on your guys' shoulder at all?
No, I don't think the chip's ever changed all season from last season. The guys that came, whether you're ranked 1 or you're unranked, you're always chasing perfection. You're always, you're chasing that perfect game, as a defense. And for us, that chip will always be there. I know a lot of these guys have chips before they were at Indiana. So, and, so do I. So, having that chip is what's got us here, and I don't think it's ever going to go away.
We'll go to Daniel and then Mike S.
Yeah, Isaiah, habit-wise, has Sig changed, the way you operate, off field? Has he instilled things that have kind of, affected how you live life?
With Coach Sig, so he's never, he respects our time a lot. And so coaches and players, so he's never going to, have us here just to have us here. And that's kind of, made me think, if he's going to give us this time off, then be a pro with your time, take care of your body, eat the right things, stretch, take care of your body because, your body's what's got you here and what's going to, keep you playing and keep you active. So seeing how, he respects our time and, how he, wants us, our bodies to be, the best, that's kind of, rubbed off on me and a lot of the teammates is, take care of your body and just be a pro outside the facility.
Right. We'll go Mike S and then to Jim.
Yeah, Isaiah, I know you guys don't want to be complacent about the fact that you've already beat Oregon, but from the outside, that was the game that kind of really shifted the perception of you guys. I'm just curious, did it in any way shift the psyche of the team, to think, what, if we're prepared and we execute there, we can win every single game we play the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, that's every week you want to go and prepare no matter who you're playing. And I think that's what made this team special is, no matter who we're playing, whether it's, the number one ranked team or an unranked team, like I said, we're chasing that perfect game. We're chasing perfection. And no matter who we play, if we're chasing perfection and we go out there and do our 111th, we can play with anybody in the country. And I think that just the last game of Oregon showed that. And then just the games from then on, it's just us out there chasing perfection, doing your 111th, flying to the ball, fast, physical. And for us, that's the makeup of our team. That's the makeup of our defense.
We'll go Jim and then to Dan.
Isaiah, you guys went like 25 days, whatever it actually was, without playing a game. And now you're going to potentially play 3 top-level games in a span of 19 days. Which do you guys prefer? Which do you prefer? And has your teammates, if you've talked about that, do you think would be better?
Yeah, I had heard, about the teams with the bye, the curse, and all that. No one really pays attention to that for us. I think we were all getting pretty antsy with that 25-day break. We were all kind of itching to get back out there. And, what makes this team special is we have a lot of guys that just love football. And so I think if you gave us a game every single day, these guys would go out there ready to play, fired up, and you wouldn't get tired of it. So, this team's excited. This team loves playing together and loves, playing for each other. And, the 25-day break was long. It was a lot of, time that we felt like we were just sitting around, waiting to play, see who we're going to play. So for us, we're excited. It's one game at a time. It's a 1-week season right now. And so right now, all we have on our minds is Oregon, and we're excited to go out there and play.
We'll go to Dan, and then we'll wrap up with Lou.
Isaiah, when you look at Coach Sig and just what he brings to the table, how he leads and what he chooses to do, just the way he goes about and how he is as a coach, is there anybody that you've had as a coach growing up that can kind of parallel that, or has he been totally unique in the way that he approaches the game and how he approaches the team?
Yeah, I think, Coach Sig's one of a kind. And obviously, it stems from maybe where he's been before with, Coach Saban, but I wouldn't know about that. I just know Coach Sig is a one of a kind I've been around. Just the way he handles business, the way he handles, the team, and, takes that leadership role and owns that. He just instills, confidence in his team, and that's something, I feed off of. I know a lot of guys feed off that. And just when you have a coach that's that confident and, believes in you with no doubt, I mean, that makes your guys play like their hearts out for the guy. And, when he goes out there and, maybe sticks his neck out in the media and, says things that some people don't agree with, when we see that, he's not just a coach that's in the team room saying these things. He'll go out there and say it to the media and to the world. And so when you see that, it's like, why would you not want to, put your heart on the field for the guy?
All right, Lou, bring us home with Isaiah.
Well, Isaiah, during your recent answers to questions, you mentioned the word special more than one time. I mean, in terms of the camaraderie, the feeling with the team. But has there been any introspection in terms of relation with the community and the fans of what you've done already being special in terms of coming to this point in the season as the top ranked team in the country, being undefeated, and having the chance to play for the national title?
Yeah, I love the Hoosier fan base. And, I know, in the past few, years and maybe decades, it's been rough. But I think just the two things I can, go back to our 2 postseason games. The last 2 games we played, both have felt like home games. And that just shows, the love Hoosier Nation has for this team. And, they've been waiting for the opportunity like this. And I'm glad, be able to be a part of it, and to go out there and wear the Indiana Hoosier across my chest. It's almost probably more important than the name on my back, to be honest. To go out there and, give these fans this and give them what they've deserved. You see them show up, and these last 2 games felt like home games. And, I know they'll travel well to Atlanta, so I'm excited for that game too. And just to be able to, give this fan base, this opportunity, because I know it's a ride for them just like it is for us. And, we're not done yet, and I'm excited to see them in Atlanta.
Great. Thanks, Isaiah. We'll be in shortly with D'Angelo Pons, so raise those hands and we'll get to as many people as we can. All right, we have defensive back, D'Angelo Pons. We'll go ahead and start with Mike and then go to Seth.
Yeah, D'Angelo. I mean, obviously, you played a lot of star-laden lineups here in terms of Ohio State, Alabama, Oregon. How does Oregon kind of compare to those other two, and maybe what's kind of the strength you see from that group?
When thinking of Oregon, they had a high-power offense. They like to take shots. They like to go deep. Great quarterback, just like all those other teams. I would say they're kind of similar with the receivers. Great receivers. Like to get the ball to them in space. So they're very similar.
All right, go ahead, Seth, and then we'll go to Pete.
Yeah, D'Angelo, just what are the challenges of going up against a team a second time, especially for you as a cornerback lining up, against a receiver? Is it tricky? How tricky is it mentally to kind of not remember, what people did the last time you played and just kind of treat this as a new game, like everybody's been saying?
I would say, in terms of my position, it is kind of tricky. The receiver knows what I like to do. I know what the receiver likes to do. So it's just a chance to mix things up and keep them guessing, basically. And it's going to be a mind game out there. So basically, that's what it's going to be.
All right, we'll go to Pete and then to Sammy.
Hey, D'Angelo, IU has had some significant injuries this year, and it has not affected performance. I know that the next man up philosophy is working. Why is it working so well? Is it the quality of the players, the quality of the coaching? Why is that?
I would say it's the coaching. When you have a player of that caliber go down like Stephen Daly or stuff like that, and the production stays the same, it's clearly the coaching. Everybody does the same thing, and the standard is the same at each level, and it's the next man up.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go to Sammy and then to Daniel.
D'Angelo, you've gone against some premier wide receivers who can get into space and get extra yards. You and Jamar have done a really good job of getting your guy down to the ground. What goes into that, both in practice and then in the game, when you're facing these guys who could, take the ball 80 yards?
Yeah, going against receivers like that is definitely tough. It's stuff we worked on in practice. From Mariah Ojong, he teaches us to get the man down. Sometimes we're in cover 3 and they throw little hitches out there. We got to make the tackle. We got to avoid explosives. And it's something we take pride in, honestly. So that's something we work on every day as well.
All right, we'll go to Daniel and then Jim Coyle.
Yeah. Last week you'd said that, size-wise, a lot of guys view that as a con with you. It's kind of a pro, though, the way that it's kind of always added a chip, right? Why is that a positive? Like why is the size that a lot of guys view as a bad thing actually really a positive for you?
I believe I said it before. I'm way faster than guys. I got good technique. I have better feet than most of the taller guys. I would say that's why it's a plus for me. It's easier for me to move. I can move fluidly. I feel like that's what makes me excel as a player.
We'll go to Jim Coyle and then Will Stewart.
D'Angelo, you have become one of the known features of this great defense. First of all, how much pride do you take in that of itself, knowing where you came from? And secondly, who's having more fun with this season, you or your dad?
I definitely take a lot of pride in defense. Defense will take you a long way. It won championships, as people say. It's definitely something we take pride in as a whole. And definitely my dad is having fun with it as well. I try to stop him sometimes, but it's not out of my control.
All right, we'll go to Will Stewart and then to Dan.
D'Angelo, you guys are one of the more fundamentally sound playoff teams left in the playoffs. And last week versus Bama, instead of a lot of wrap-up tackles, it felt like a lot of guys were dropping their shoulder, just trying to lay somebody out. Was there something that played into that, or was that just how the game was going for you guys on defense?
It was a little bit of stuff that played into that from my perspective, but it's how we play as a defense as overall. We've been playing like that all season. We have a lot of doubters and stuff like that, and we never looked that way, and we just played our game.
We'll go to Dan and then to Mike S.
D'Angelo, when you look on either side of you and you've been going through the season with your brothers on the field, what has this whole experience been like? What are some words to kind of describe what this journey has been like as this Indiana team has grown to the point that you're at the semifinals of the college football playoff?
Honestly, in my perspective, words can't really describe the feelings that we're going through right now. We're just taking it one day at a time. Try to go 1-0 each week. Really, I haven't really thought on the season and how well it's gone. I would say like after the season, I will probably do that and look back on it. But right now, we're just trying to go 1-0 each week.
We'll go to Mike S. and then Zach B.
Yeah, D'Angelo, a quote from Coach Haynes about you. He said, D'Angelo competes with every fiber in his being. That seems like a great compliment. I'm curious where that comes from in your kind of evolution as a football player.
I would say just from having that chip on my shoulder, hearing that I'm undersized, being under-recruited out of high school and stuff like that, always overlooked. I would say that's where it comes from. Just that dog in me, I feel like it's come from being overlooked. Like I always thought that I never got the credit for what I was putting on the field, and I just prove that every day.
And Zach B, last one.
D'Angelo, I know you guys say all the time you guys don't pay attention to the doubters, but I'm sure you guys at least see some of that stuff. So when that stuff pops up on social media or on your feed or whatever, it gets sent to you, is it you just immediately scroll past it? Do you send it to somebody and say like, "Ha, look at this"? What's that reaction when you do see that doubt online?
I really don't react no type of way. A lot of people have a platform like these day and ages, like anybody could say anything. It really doesn't affect me. If anything, I'll probably laugh at it or I'll just be like, okay, that's noted. But like, it doesn't really affect anything on the field, honestly.
Great. Thanks, D'Angelo. Thanks, everyone. That will wrap up today. Like yesterday, there will be a transcript from ASAP, and we will see everybody in Georgia.